Welcome to the People's Guild with me, Wascal, and my co-host, B. Jangles.
We're a couple of Splinterlanders that love exploring all things Pretoria with a wide variety of guests from all across the community and Splinterlands universe.
Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the People's Guild. Another week, another episode, another fantastic guest. We have the Rooney Whisperer here today, the one and only Agaprime. He's kind of blown up on the scene the last couple of months with the advent of Rooney coming to OpenSea, and I'm sure you guys have seen his content, his handiwork in the likes of Gold Matters, Aftersound, all over Twitter, all over YouTube, all over Peaked. He's got a fantastic YouTube channel where he's sharing his creation process in route to delivering these cool animated Rooneys. He's got a big music video for Aftersound that he put out. Say My Name, I think is the name of the track. Yes. Very cool. Yeah. So welcome to the People's Guild, Aga. Thanks for hopping on, man.
Hey, thank you. I'm excited. Been looking forward to it. Thank you for having me.
Man, it's great to have you on. I just want to kind of start off with something you mentioned in a video at Splinterfest, and you mentioned about about 4 years ago, you were in a weird place and you felt like you were just like treading water. So I was just interested because it kind of resonated with me because like a few years ago, I was kind of in a similar kind of maybe frame of mind, just kind of, I kind of use the analogy of like, just like floating like a balloon through the sky, kind of just floating along, just happy go lucky. But so when you mentioned that, it kind of just resonated with me. And I was just wondering, like, what changes did you make in your life at that time? And like, do you think those changes brought you to where you are today?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The changes brought me here. And so when I was going through that period, it wasn't so much that anything was really bad in my life. It was just that it wasn't moving anywhere. It was kind of like I was just kind of just floating out there, and I wanted more. I felt like I wasn't really using myself to my full potential, really. And I got it thinking. I was listening to a speaker. His name is Les Brown, phenomenal motivational speaker. And one of his speeches, he talks about, and I'm just going to preface it because it's a little bit long, but he talks about the ideal way for a person to die. And, you want to die surrounded by your family and your loved ones, because at the end of the day, that's what really matters at the end of the day, those connections with those people, because you can't take your possessions, you can't take your accolades, you can't take the money. That's really what matters in those final moments. But he put a twist on it. He said, but instead of those family members being there, imagine you're surrounded by your dreams, your talents, your skills, all those things that you were given by life that you never used. And now you're on your deathbed and they're looking at you with angry eyes saying, we were given to you to give us life and you didn't. So we got to die with you now. And that just really hit me. And so from that point forward, I made a point that I didn't want to die. I didn't want to leave this place with stuff still in the cabinets. I wanted to get all of my skills out. I wanted to express myself and really push my limits and see what I was truly capable of. And Splinterlands really gave me a platform and a way to really kind of explore that. And so it most certainly kind of led me to where I am today.
Beautiful. Yeah, I've also listened to Les Brown a lot as well. Amazing, like motivational speaker. I was I actually found this guy, I don't know if you know him, called Jim Rohn.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Another favorite.
Yeah. So it's quite funny. Maybe just like the YouTube algorithms were just like, I don't know, but like at that time I remember I would just spend a lot of time on YouTube just watching lots of like Man United videos, and I think I probably got to you the same point. I was working, nothing was really bad, but just floating along. And then I don't know, I just remember watching some YouTube video of some guy, and then he was talking about the books he's read, and then he kind of pointed me towards Jim Rohn, and then it just kind of opened up so many doors, man. Opened up so many doors.
Yeah, it's just like just listening to some of the speech. Like I went on a huge binge. I've listened to everything I could find on YouTube. I've gotten tapes. I've even got a couple of web seminars that he was on as well. But there was just certain things he would say that just kind of resonated with me. And I guess I don't want to say I've never heard the words before, but maybe at that moment I was ready to hear them I was ready to, accept it at that time. And he said something. He says, we all, if we're going to get anywhere and if we're going to get to where we want to be, we have to take accountability that we are where we are because of the decisions we made. So wherever you are in your life right now, understand you made an appointment to be there. And that really set home with me, and it made me really start looking at what I was doing. And it's like, how can I want to be something else, or how can I want to do something grand if I'm not pushing myself to do something grand? And that's just really kind of where it starts, is taking that first step of accountability and saying, okay, now that I understand I've kind of placed myself here, although that may be a little bit although that can be a bit depressing in itself, that realization, that also means that I got the power to make an appointment to be somewhere else later. And that's led me to Splinterfest. That's led me to, Belize and who knows moving forward. And so I'm excited.
Oh, what a great perspective, man. And yeah, the power of perspective, right? And I'm so glad that you shared that, Aga. Especially, I'm thinking about, my youth, and I was a little bit of a, my parents would probably be quoted as calling me a little bit of a pain in the ass. But yeah, thinking about, the decisions that I made, the consequences of those decisions, and where they led to in terms of subsequent decisions, and, just reflecting on the last 10 years, how, I initially came to Taiwan, and kind of the set of dominoes that have been put in motion as a result of that decision. I can't imagine where my life would be without it. And you're absolutely right with, we're never going to make that next appointment until you make that next appointment, right? Like you've got to go in and you've got to, be open-minded. You've got to push yourself to learn and accept these new opportunities. And, whether or not it's bright and shiny on the surface, taking a step back and looking at that bigger picture of, what could this potentially lead to in my life? Where could I potentially learn from this experience and, apply it in my own life moving forward, and making that next appointment. And who knows who that next appointment is going to be with, or what the implications of said appointment are going to be. I appreciate you sharing that. So I'm curious, Aga, can you kind of wrap this up in a little bit of a timeline? So Wasco mentioned you were referencing a story from a few years ago, and how did that kind of lead to Splinterlands, and can you kind of sew those stories together for us real quickly?
Sure. So I got introduced to Les Brown, and so I went into a pure reflective period, and it was actually great because I was working with my job, and I got sent on a out of work contract. We had a storm recovery. And so I was out of state. I was away from my family and everything, stuck up in a hotel. And so there wasn't anything to do except for an open bar that at the hotel. And I just decided before I went up there that I was not going to drink anymore. Go figure. I quit drinking and we have an open bar. But so I'm up there. I have nothing to do because everything, if I leave my hotel room, the temptation, it was just too strong. So I had a lot of time to just sit by myself, and I reflected, and I decided that I wanted to start being more deliberate in what I was doing. I didn't think my actions were so much bad. It's just that I was lacking focus. I was lacking a direction. And so I thought, if I'm going to start doing things, let's start profiting from everything that I do. So I've been profiting from my skills in my day-to-day life, but I was like, what about my entertainment? I'm over here paying, 60, $70 on video games, spending hours. Like, I was in the generation where, I lost a good quarter of my life to WoW, that I'm never going to get back. But, and there's nothing, nothing to show for it. And so that kind of led me to Splinterlands. I heard a little bit about Bitcoin before it blew, and then I missed out. And so I was like, you know what? It's still around. If people make money once from it, there's something here. It's never something there's never such thing as like a flash in the pan. There's something here. There's way too much going on. And so I got in, I started learning about it, and I found Splinterlands because it was the first game that was actually a game. It was the first one that was actually fun, that I enjoyed playing. And so I got into it. I started playing my time. Wasn't really making any profits from it or anything, but the idea that I could was enough to make it worthwhile for me. Was just to figure out how I could get there. And then seeing some of the bigger guys out there, some of the bigger fish, like 12 had a really big account. Bulldog's account was huge. Gold Matters accounts were huge. And I'm like, with the amount of capital that they have in this, there's something to this. There's something going on here. And so I wanted to get into it. I wanted to be a part of it. Well, playing through, initially, I wasn't very good at it. Couldn't really make any profits after everything changed, because they cut all the they nerfed the bronze leagues and everything. So that forced me to decide how committed I was to this new focus, because it was no longer easy to play. It was no longer easy to profit. It was no longer, easy to, I couldn't just, get in here and get everything easy anymore. So I had to start studying, and my main focus is I wanted to give this the best effort that I could. I wanted to be confident if I put this down, if I shut the laptop down, that there was nothing going on here. This game was a scheme. It wasn't real. Nothing was going on. I wanted to make sure. And so I started studying a lot of these streamers and the content creators that were going out there. And that helped me learn how to play. That helped me get the confidence, get out of there, and actually start seeing some returns. And while going through that, I asked myself, I can do that. I'm a trainer by trade. So I do web trainings. I do virtual and in-person trainings as a profession. So being on camera, speaking to people, explaining things is something I do in my day-to-day life. So I was like, why can't I do that? Well, my major thing was I had no idea how to do any sort of video editing. And, it seemed like it was a lot. It seemed like it would be kind of difficult. But to just jump to Les Brown for a second, he said something. He says, jump and grow your wings on the way down. Mm-hmm. And so I thought to myself, even if it's terrible, that doesn't mean my 100th video will be terrible. And even if my 100th video is just okay, my 200th video is probably going to be great. And so on and so on. And so I just got started. And as I went through, I just picked up different things and kept pushing myself to learn. And it's been a slow process, but the growth from, I would say, as a person, and then also from the community. And, I eventually managed to make my way to Splinterlands. And not Splinterlands, to Splinterfest, which was an amazing experience. And it's been absolutely wonderful. It was just a mindset that I wanted to change. I wanted to be deliberate in what I was doing. And Splinterlands seemed a great way to make my entertainment a profitable experience, or something that could profit from me in the long term. And I've gotten way more out of it than I ever thought I would have when I first started, from my guilds and just the people I've met in the community.
Beautiful, man. Yeah, it's such a great lesson for people to hear, right? Like, if you don't jump into the water, you just don't know how cold it's going to be, right? And I'm sure, like, this past year has been such a great learning experience for you in so many ways. And I think also, like, as you such a great example, just the opportunities that have arisen from those decisions that you made, right? Like, could you talk about the opportunities that have not necessarily just come to you, because I don't believe opportunities just arrive at your door for no reason. But could you talk about the kind of, since you have started like down this video editing like path, like the opportunities that have come to you?
Oh, sure. So I started out making videos myself, and I thought to myself, I wanted to refine it, and because I really wanted to be like 12. I wanted to, have a platform like that. I wanted, people to come and listen to what I talked about. But I realized I was missing two things. One, I didn't have nearly the experience or the skill in the game that he had, and two, I didn't have the crowd or the following. So that was going to be kind of hard to pull off. So what I decided to do was to get better at the craft of editing, because when I looked at the space, I felt that there were some great personalities and there was great content. But if we take the names off of it, what was being shown on the screen was rather basic. It wasn't a lot going on. And so I wanted to bring something that would make it stand out when you watched it, because that's how I was going to get people to come to see me. And while I was doing that, I found that I've kind of fell in love with the editing portion of it more so than the streaming, personality portion of it, which kind of blew my mind. And so then I switched and I started looking for, well, what other ways can I grow and develop this skill? So I started reaching out to other content creators to do little editing side projects for them, to kind of help them build and grow their channels. And then the Rooney project hit, because my daily battle videos were kind of getting stale, because I was more invested in the video editing than necessarily explaining out the battles, which I'm really good at. But it was kind of capping me. It was kind of keeping me in a box. Well, when the Rooney Mint came and everyone was paying, $300, $400 for these Rooneys with nothing to do with them, I was like, this is a great opportunity to get in here and another way to kind of grow and develop my skills. So I started editing, animating Rooneys. And initially I just went out and I started doing it for free. I didn't ask for anything because I wanted the experience of it. I set a goal for myself. I wanted to do as many edits as I could before the mint finished, because I figured by that time I would be good enough to where I could be comfortable to charge a fee for it. And the amount of growth and the development that I did during that time was amazing. And when the Rooney Mint ended, then I was like, okay, well, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? And then it was like almost like a huge epiphany popped up. Aftersound released Say My Name. And he released Say My Name, and I thought to myself, man, I want to make the first ever Rooney music video. I didn't tell it to anyone else. I didn't tell it to Aftersound. I just thought it to myself. And then about a week or two went by, and I got the courage to send him a DM on Discord. He never replied back to it. He's a busy guy. Those things get lost all the time. And so, weeks went by, and I'm still putting out content. I'm still doing my videos, but I'm like, man, I really want to do that. I want to make this happen. And so I thought to myself, you know what? I'm just going to do the video anyway. At the very worst case scenario, he'll hate it and he's going to just ask me to take it down. But I'm like, if I make that video, if I do it, there's no way he's going to hate it. And so I did it. I actually finished the video before I actually had a chance to show any of it to Aftersound. And so I had to get a hold of Darkest Night, because they're clanmates. Those two are really close. I met them in Splinterfest. And so I had to get a hold of him. I was like, hey, I really want to get this video released by Christmas. So can you get a hold of Aftersound? I'm not trying to blow him up or anything, but I really want him to see it before I put this out here, because I'm using his NFT, and I'm very particular about not taking too much liberty with someone else's property. And so he watched it. He said he loved it. He got a hold of Aftersound. He said he absolutely loved it, and it was full systems go. But when I initially came in with that idea, I had no idea how I was going to pull that music video off. That was but to that point, that was the most complicated thing I had ever done. And so I had to storyboard it. I had to study music videos. I even, I jotted down all his lyrics to figure out what I wanted to represent on the screen. And it was kind of cringy at times, but it was amazing because every day I was excited. I was engaged because every day I was like, I'm getting a little bit closer. I'm getting a little bit closer. And then the final product was, man, it just felt really good. And once that finished, I thought to myself, well, what's next? I've done a music video. What do I do next?
Full feature film? We getting a full feature film?
A full feature film is the next closest thing. And it's kind of funny. I released The Deadly Romance. I don't know if you guys have got a chance to see it yet. But there was a conversation that happened, I think the 27th of December. Yeah, just after Christmas. And After Sound, I think C-Pole and the Cryptomancer. Mancer Tales.
Tales from the Cryptmancer? Mm-hmm.
Yes. They were having a discussion about the Immortalis release because they just released his stats at that time. And they was like, he kind of looks like a love child of Thaddeus and Mimosa. And so After Sound chimes in, is like, you guys are giving me like a romance vibes of Thaddeus and Mimosa. I kind of want to see this now. And then, and I wasn't in this yet, but and big shout out to the Cryptmancer. He tags me in it and says, hey, we need the talents of Agaprime, and puts up a bat signal. And I'm a man of the people, so I couldn't let that go by. But it was fun because I thought to myself, what better way to stretch my goals? Like this time I'm trying to make a full story, and all I have to go off of is Thaddeus, Mimosa, Immortalis, and Romance. That's all I have to go off of. So since that day, I've been hard in the labs. I did full-on storyboards. I wrote the whole story. Then I had to animate it all. And I had never done any sort of like story inside of a video before. Absolute crazy. It was one of the more complicated things I've done because it's really easy for words to go too quickly. Like understanding like the amount of time you need for it to stay on the screen, for it to be legible, was a huge thing because my animations were typically fast because I wanted my videos to be shorter. I didn't want you to be stuck watching a 10, 15-minute video. So everything was real quick. Well, now I had to kind of slow everything down, and it was just a huge experience. But I want to say took me about 2 weeks to fully finish it. Definitely the most difficult thing I've done, but it was an absolute blast. I was very excited about it. But
oh man, I am so glad that you took that jump, bro. And it sounds like the wings have kind of taken a little bit of a different shape than you initially imagined. But hell yeah, dude! Cheers for doing that. And yeah, I'm looking at your video now. It looks like you just dropped it a few hours ago. So congratulations, man. I'm sure you got to be pumped for having that out on the airwaves and hopefully get some eyes on it. We'll definitely plug that in our wrap up post and in the tweet, man. Yeah.
Oh, no, I was pushing, man. I knew I had this interview, and I was like, you know what? I want to get it done so that we can talk about it, so that I can at least talk about it. And so I've been at it, but like I said, it was a great experience, and it was when you can find a goal or a project that stretches you, that's where I feel like you get that most satisfaction, that most gratification, because now that what was previously impossible or previously you had no idea how you could do, you've now done it. So what's next?
Well, I love, kind of taking a step back and just looking at the bigger picture of everything that you've just described. It's everything that I love about the Splinterlands community. Everybody's got something to contribute. Everybody's got a little bit of a different value add to the conversation, whether it's, sharp analysis and looking at the tokenomics and what's happening with SPS and DEC and where do we go from here, or it's it's just talking, bringing people together and starting that conversation, or it's the content itself and all of the technical skill that you bring with, you know, the things of bringing a polished video. All of these things are going to contribute to, you know, those our boats rising together when Splinterlands does make it through this bear and we start to see the bull and his horns come back. You know, I think back, and Kieran, I'm sure this went through your head also. We had Matt Clark on a couple of months ago, Aga, and he was talking about, his reference was, now is the time to burrow in like a tick. You know, it's time to dig down and you know, keep your nose to the grindstone. And, you know, if you're getting just a couple hive here and there throughout the month, yeah, maybe it's 25, 26, 27 cents per hive now, but you know, when that bull starts to come back and the game is much more polished and we're ready to make that big marketing push to, you know, other investors and crypto bros and potentially gamers, you know, we're already in the thick of it, and we're part of the, you know, the fabric of the community that folks are going to come and see first. And you know, I think about guys like you and Aftersound and Tales and Infidel and Bulldog as being like the faces of what people are going to see. And it makes me so excited, man. I feel like we've got such a solid community that is kind of supporting Splinterlands as we proceed through, you know, obviously a very tough year in 2022. But yeah, as we gear up for the bear is going to end, and when it ends, yeah. I'm happy that we've got such a solid crew of folks kind of supporting from the community side.
Oh, me too. That was one of the neat things that I found out at Splinterfest, was we had so many different people from different walks of life, different personalities, different skills. And it was great to kind of collaborate and talk and discuss with so many of them. Matter of fact, that reminds me, I need to get back with Ashley. Me and her are supposed to do a collaboration, and I kind of got a little sidetracked. But one thing that we talked about is that, you know, we can say what we want about the company, but at the end of the day, Splinterlands isn't a AAA studio. You know, there's not billions of dollars here. There's not a huge staff who's managing and handling everything. So for us, since we're actually invested in this, it's gonna be part of us to actually bring in some of that new crop. And so what I wanted to do is I looked out and I felt like what I saw out there was rather could use more color. You know, we had a lot of black and white. We had a lot of numbers. We had a lot of profits. We had a lot of, you know, strategy, but we didn't have a lot of entertainment. We didn't have a lot of pull. We didn't have a lot of polish. And so what I wanted to do was add polish to it. And if we can all get more polish, if we all look better, then that's just makes us as a whole better. And like you said, when the bull comes back around, all of our portfolios are going to grow.
Yeah, man. Such a yeah. I just love the way you are. So I was just kind of writing my notes then, just kind of how you just kind of ask yourself questions, and as I mentioned it before, it's a very cool for people to listen to someone like you who where usually things are in front of people and, you know, or they get given it, but I love the way you are approaching your life, and I think I can just see how have you grown and how you are going to grow. And I was just wondering, like, when you talk about like making your videos, is this something you have always had, this creativity in you? Is it something that you were that kind of developed when you were at school, or is it just something you've realized in recent years?
Well, I've always had a passion for the arts. You know, I've painted murals, you know, in high school. I've done different art contests. I've published poetry. I've written a book. You know, so I've always been around the arts, but I want to say 2 years ago was the very first time I did any video editing. And so like my Agaprime channel, you can literally see my very first video. It's like 10 minutes and 45 seconds. Very boring. Yeah. But so you can literally see from where I started to where I am now. And it's just kind of taking it one day at a time. A lot of it is just little things. You take, little concepts and you just get a little bit better at it, and then you get a new idea. One thing, you mentioned the asking the questions thing. One thing that I found in the creative process that I feel like, I had to kind of come to this myself, is that we sometimes, in an effort we feel like we have to keep everything insular, like the idea has to come from me, that we kind of block out things from those around us, from our circle. And what I found is a lot of times we'll get ideas or suggestions from others, but because they can't package it in the way that I would understand it, because I'm the video editor, I'm the one under the hood, they're just kind of saying something, hey, this would be kind of neat. But, in my ear, I'm sitting up there, how would I ever do that? But they're like, hey, that'd be cool. Can't you do that? And but what I've learned to do is just to say, you know what, that is a really good idea. Even though in my mind I'm thinking, how earthly am I going to pull that off? But I just let it sit in my mind. And then when I'm going in my process, those little ideas come up. And what happens a lot of times is because that initial idea seems outlandish, we don't try. But oftentimes we know 75% of the process. It's only 25% we don't know. And I'll give you an example. I did Gold Matters commissioned me to do a Brady Bunch style intro for him for his Rooney collection. I called the Gold Bunch Matters, Gold Bunch family. And at the end of it, there's a scene where, kind of like the Brady Bunch, you see the Rooneys kind of coming into the individual squares, just like they did on the Brady Bunch. Well, that idea actually came from my wife. She kind of came in and she was like, hey, it'd be really neat if they kind of came into the floating squares, like they did in the actual Brady Bunch. And I'm sitting up there, I'm like, that's great. But, I get in there and I'm doing the video and I'm thinking to myself, what can I do to take this to that next step? Because when someone asks me for a commission or asks me to do something, it's not their responsibility to tell me how to do it. It's my job to make that idea a reality. And so I always like to give them more than what they asked me for. And so I sat down and I was like, well, I know how to do most of this. I know how to get the squares. I know how to format it. So let's just do that stuff first. Well, once I've done that stuff, well, even though we don't know how, let's pretend we did. What will we try? And then, just work with it. No, that looks terrible. Okay, that idea is terrible. Okay, go back at it again. But the thing is that just through that process, you figure it out. And then at the end of the day, now that thing is a reality. And I never would have made that decision had I not considered that suggestion when she told it to me. And so that's one of the big things, is just be open to all of those information and suggestions. Don't ever dismiss anything, especially something that seems ridiculous. I think Gold Matters told me one time, he sent me an email one time. He said, I want you to, he was like, I want you to have my Rooney hit his ring and then eat the gem. And then I want his core to change colors. I was like, So that's exactly my response on the other side. But I made a point when this all started that the only response I ever give anybody when they send me a job is I say, you know what? I like the idea. I'll get started. That's all I ever reply. And you just get in there and you get to work, and it's amazing what you can accomplish if you really just give yourself an opportunity to work through it.
Man, it sounds like we've taken a whole higher, like we came on with this podcast with the expectation of talking Splinterlands. We've taken it to a whole nother plane, man. I love it. We're speaking on wisdom for life, man. And Yeah, I mean, for those listening out there, take it at surface level or take it at the more profound degree that, I'm certainly hearing your words, Agaprime. I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, I've seen some of those Gold Matters videos, man, and there was one where it's like 1920s mobster style where he's like eating the ammo and it's coming out of the cane,
Yes.
and he's got like that mobster style bowler hat. Yeah, some of that stuff is just awesome, and you're exactly right, man. That's the cool, polished entertainment that's going to attract eyes and viewers and be like, "Ooh, what is that? Like, how do I get my hands on that NFT?" It's not that silly monkey Bored Ape NFT that's just sitting there looking goofy. It's a unique Rooney that's doing cool stuff. Thanks to you, man.
And so that was my idea. Is I wanted to provide a utility, because I thought the project itself was amazing. I thought the project itself was great. I liked the idea of it. I liked the move to Ethereum, because I think Ethereum has a future. So I really liked everything around it. And I figured if we can do something with the Rooneys to set them apart from some of the other NFTs, we already have a game that I think is going to attract people. But I think the Rooneys will give us a way of kind of bringing in a different kind of an audience. And now we got the chance of kind of bringing in different creators and content, because Rooneys are now starting to like invade businesses. I've seen businesses with NFTs for the logos. And so I think that's just kind of the surface level of what we can really do. So, I'm just trying to do my part, and, I'm enjoying it.
It kind of reminds me of I sort of watched the Bill Burr clip, and he's talking about how Steve Jobs would just like go into the office, and like Steve Jobs was there just chomping away at his pear, and then he said, "I've got an idea, like a book that you can move with your fingers. Do it." So it's just kind of reminding you when you're talking about people coming to you with your ideas.
Yes.
So on that point, I was just wondering, like, do you feel that, and for you, your experience with Splinterfest, was it really important for you just to actually physically meet up with all these people? It's kind of, like the meeting of all these ideas and different artists together. And is it something that you are going to continue to do at every given opportunity?
Yes, I'm definitely gonna do it every opportunity that I can. I don't think you can truly replace that face-to-face interaction with people. I think there's always a certain barrier you have whenever you're speaking through a computer or over a phone. But I have a special relationship with Splinterfest in general for me, because I was kind of going through a little rough patch. I had some deaths in the family, financial wasn't all that great. And so I really was in a place where I had to decide, was I going to play it safe and, kind of do what I'd been doing? Or was I just going to leverage what I had, take what I had in my pocket? I think I ended up making a deal. I ended up exchanging my the title, the Gambler title, and the Lux Vega for the cost for the admission to the event, because I couldn't get there and pay to get in. So I had to decide. And so I thought to myself, I can do this one of two ways. I can stay home, put that money into the game, or I can jump for this opportunity to meet all of these different people and see where the networking is going to take me. And I made that decision, and it's been one of the better decisions I've ever made. I would definitely say it was absolutely worth it.
That's awesome, man. We had Darkest Night on immediately on the heels of Splinterfest, and he was just glowing. He's one of the rare guys in the game that's purely about the game. Like, he doesn't care if Kitty goes up to $1,000 per BCX or drops to a penny. Like, he's not going anywhere. He's here for the game. And having him on right after Splinterfest and hearing, we've talked to a couple of folks that went to Splinterfest, and the sentiment is the same. like the community coming together and sharing that experience together, and getting to put faces and shake hands and give hugs and, you know, share a drink or share a smoke, or, you know, have a conversation face to face. It's just irreplaceable. And that's really the icing on the cake for this community that we've built. And yeah, I'm really hopeful that, you know, immediately after Splinterfest, everybody was talking about potentially Philippines for the next Splinterfest. You know, I'm very, very biased in being incredibly hopeful that is going to be the destination, because I don't know if you're aware, but Wasco and I are both in Taiwan, so the Philippines is, you know, it's just a couple hour flight for us, and being able to experience that would, you know, I was definitely feeling the FOMO watching you guys party it up at Splinterfest and watching Walking Keys kind of stream everything, and like, oh man, it looks so cool. And yeah.
Oh, man, I can't wait. I hope it's in the Philippines, because there's a lot of there's a lot of people I interact with who are in the Philippines. You guys are in Taiwan, which, you know, we're going to talk about how that is and how you guys ended up in Taiwan. But no, I'd love for it to be in the Philippines. I want to go. I haven't been yet, so it'd be a perfect time to go, to be around, you know, more people who think and are interested in the same thing I was. And the nicest thing about it is that with all of the stuff going on, to find a place with everyone there, and we all had a common interest, but we could share and disagree. We could have differing opinions. We could have different approaches, and that didn't take away from it at all. Like, we could all sit down, have drinks, have a good time. Matter of fact, I took my wife with me. She didn't know much about the game outside of watching the videos and a little bit of information I told her before she went in there. But I ended up leaving her for about 2 hours, and, you know, I felt bad. Felt like a bad husband for a little bit. But I went back in there, and she had a blast. She said everybody was so friendly. She had a good time. She said she'd definitely go back. And I never would have thought I could leave my wife in a, you know, game in a gaming convention alone, and she would, you know, come away feeling that way. And so that just, you know, reinforced what I already thought about the community.
Yeah, I think it's just all about decisions, isn't it? Like you say, man, you have stayed at home, played it safe, or could you have just, you know, just took that, you know, a little bit of a gamble, like if you mentioned like about, you know, financial, the situation. But yeah, just, I think that's also like maybe the beauty of this game as well, right? You can do a bit of hustling and wheeling and dealing, and like, oh, is anyone interested in, you know, I've got this Lux Vega, and I got my title. So I really admire that you know, jumped in there. And I think you also know the results of that as well. So, like, looking back on 2002, we just hit 2023. Did I say 2002? 2022. What were your highlights from 2022? Because I know you got in the game October 2021. So you kind of had the full year. What were your highlights from 2022, and possibly like what were kind of some of the low points? Like, I'm talking about the game.
I would definitely say low points. My low point was probably what I got in October, November, December. So I want to say about November, December, when the initial nerf started hit, was probably the lowest point that I was in. But I feel like I kind of came in at an interesting time, and I'm really thankful that I kind of came in when I did, because I actually kind of came in as the boom was kind of going away. And so I was able to kind of see the highs, but I didn't get in fast enough or soon. I didn't come in with a big enough wallet to really take advantage of the highs when I came in. And so when I initially started coming in, I had to learn, I had to start building. And So from there, when we kind of ticked back up a bit more, I understood that this now moves in cycles. And so some of the conversations we, kind of flown around in the Discord and in the Twitter is, I feel like we don't really give a full appreciation to the cycle that everything goes in. And it takes some time, and you got to kind of see how it kind of starts, it ends with itself, and then it's going to kind of circle back around. But as far as high points, man, I don't know. I bought 10 packs and got a Bakchira and a Aureal as an airdrop. I mean, that was probably the luckiest.
Oh, nice.
Out of 10 packs. I placed in a couple tournaments, but I don't know. I think probably my biggest one outside of probably Say My Name and I don't know, some of those Rooney animations were kind of fun. I don't know. My favorite one is always the one I make next, but I still go back and appreciate them. Like Deuce Crypto, he's a guildmate of mine, and he's a big marijuana enthusiast. And so when I made his Rooney, I was like, your Rooney needs some personality to it. So he's got the only, J Puffin lazy lion logo Rooney out there, and I loved it. But I don't know. It's, to me, my guild, man, dude. I don't know. It's hard to pick one.
No, you can say as many as you want, man.
I don't know. We got okay. So we got Splinterfest. We got Say My Name. I finished. I know I finished top 5 in a couple tournaments, so that was pretty big for me. I made it to Diamond finally, which is crazy. It only took a year, so I'm excited about that. But I joined the 420 syndicate, and then we switched over to the syndicate in general, and then we rebranded back to the 420. And I think the guild was probably one of the things that really kind of like that really kind of tethered me to the game. Once I joined my guild and I got in there with that collection of people who we're all moving with the same mindset. We could share ideas. We could, kind of grow and develop. And, we just had people we could talk to about our experiences. That really kind of tethered me to the community and everything. Outside of that, I've experienced way more growth on my Hive and my YouTube than I thought that I would at this stage. Because I started out, I didn't think I was very good, but I've just enjoyed the journey. That's probably my favorite thing is the journey, the things I've learned, the people I've met, and I'm just looking forward to what's next. Like Tom Brady says, "What's your favorite Super Bowl?" The next one.
Yeah, I can't wait for that story to be over for Tom Brady. To be totally honest.
Yes. I'm hoping he goes so Patrick Mahomes can send him out on his shield and he does not come back anymore.
Yeah, when he starts reflecting on the first, what was it, 2002 Super Bowl being his favorite one, we can. Yeah, I'll be happy to hear Tom Brady shift his narrative to that one. Aga, so I'm always curious about. So I was fortunate in that Waskell introduced me to the game, and we've been buddies for about 10 years now, and so I had somebody to kind of hop on the phone and like, oh my gosh, I'm struggling so hard with novice and bronze. How do I get past these Yoden bastards? And I keep running into this Mylor guy, and like I had a buddy I could pick up the phone and call with, and we've kind of ever since I came into the game, we've kind of made decisions as a friend group, and most recently we moved into the YGG, and we found a really good community to kind of burrow in with. But I'm always curious for folks that kind of come into the game alone, what was that like, and how did you find your guild, and is this your first guild, the 420 Syndicate, that you've kind of stuck with?
It's the first guild I joined. I mean, I guess I've been in guilds before, but first guild I've been in is Splinterlands. Yes, but it's rough. It's rough. You know, that's the best way to describe it. It's rough because, like you said, you know, you run in there and it's like, what do I do against Jotun? What do I do against Milo? I just lose apparently. And so my solution was I just got on YouTube and I studied. I was just determined. I was just like, you know what? I feel like there's something here, and it's just gonna have to, you know, boldface tell me, hey, it's not real before I let it go. And I ended up just, you know, back in that period, there were there weren't as many they didn't have the focuses, they didn't have as many rule sets, so the meta was really defined by the teams. So what I didn't know is I'm over here, you know, trying to figure out what team I want to make based on all of this stuff, and then I get on there and Luke's like, no, play these 5 cards. He's like, you'll win. And I was like, really? It's that simple? And so I bought the cards and I was like, holy, it is that simple. And then as I went through that and longer, I eventually learned what was going on in the game. I understood while I actually started to win a little bit why these cards were winning, why which cards were better than the other ones. But it was tough because like you said, I didn't have anybody really to kind of bounce ideas off. You know, if I was just frustrated, you know, I could kind of say all this other stuff, but they would all just kind of look at me and be like, so, it was like I said, it was a tough period, but that's what spawned my channel. Is I wanted to create something so that the next person who found themselves in that space, you know, has somebody that they could you know, look up to. You know, they could learn from, you know, my experiences.
Yeah, it's great, man. It's really cool that you kind of did that, and as a result, as you say, you've grown a beautiful pair of wings. I was going to ask you, like, how were you feeling about the game before the town hall? Because there was lots of kind of salt kind of going around the place, and like,
Yeah.
and then after the recent town hall, like for me personally, I was, of course, you know, you hear people poo-pooing the game, and I hear about people leaving the game, and of course it, like in my mind, I really believe in the team and I love the game and there's a community there, so I think that's a good foundation. But sometimes you can't help but that negativity to filter in a little bit. So I kind of felt after this town hall, like it is, you know, as town halls go, it's very different. Like if I look back to Halloween, I kind of keep thinking about that Halloween. Like was that before Splinterfest or after Splinterfest? But at that time it was
After.
it was after. So yeah, there was lots of like positivity around the game. You know, like that Halloween one, for example. I just remember that one because everyone was like, you know, Matt came on with his pink wig, and it's like just felt like, you know, a big boost to the whole game as a whole, and you know, like nothing could go wrong. And then the past few months, it kind of, you know, as everyone knows what's happening, the world and the economy, it just felt a little bit of negativity was going, you know, to certain elements of the game. Like me and Ben personally, like being in YGG and Niflheim, we kind of feel like in the bubble because we don't get that negativity. But how are you feeling about the game, and did that feeling change after the town hall?
Honestly, I like what you said. You said, you know, I feel like we have a great community, and I like I like and I believe in the direction of the team, and that's really where I stand on it. Is, you know, I went through the white papers, I've listened to the town halls, I've had a chance to meet them all now, and I really like where this is going, and I also understand the global picture. Like, you know, they're laying off people at my job. So why is it, you know, why would I panic in this scenario and like, oh, everything is going to the wayside. And it's like, dude, everything's going down. That's okay. That happens. That's how cycles work. But honestly, I'm not one for the negativity. If anything, I'm the one that kind of going, it's like, if you're really feeling like this frustrated, like the whole bot arguments and all of that stuff, I'm like, you might just want to take a break for a little bit. It's not really, it's not, I don't deal too much in that negativity. And besides, I find I have too many things that I enjoy doing right now. I have, too many people in the community. There's too many positive things going on to be worried about negativity that we frankly can't change anyway. Most of these proposals, most of the fixes for these are going to happen over time. So what's the point of, wallowing in misery right now anyway? Why don't we, during this period, we understand, hey, we're going to have to get through the mud anyway. Hey, let's dig deep and make the best out of it. There's still a lot of things we can do. There's still a lot of fun to be had. There's still plenty of things going on. And like I said, if I didn't trust the team, if I didn't have faith in the vision, I think what really hooked me on was Agro's in the he talked about his grand vision of using the game as a way to kind of help people find freedom from the fiat system, and he wanted that to be kind of a bridge into crypto, and that really spoke to my values. That spoke to a similar interest in me. And as long as we're continuing in that direction, hey, we're gonna go through peaks and valleys. But I'm not really interested in the negativity. Not everything is gonna be positive all the time. Sometimes, we kind of go with the majority decision on things. But at the end of the day, we all want this to work. We're all invested in this. And a lot of those, really negative comments are coming from someone who's just passionate. But I think sometimes we spend too much time concentrating on what we don't like and not enough time discussing what we do like.
I couldn't agree more, man. And I think Kieran and I, Wasco and I, have talked about this a little bit in the past, and I'm hopeful that it's kind of Pareto's law in effect here, that we're hearing 80% of that noise from the 20% of the loudest voices, and those voices are. I understand the frustration. I understand the disappointment. They've more than likely got a grip of cash invested into the game, and they've watched their portfolio just absolutely plummet the last year, and they want a quick fix to see that ship get righted and moved back in towards the right direction. But like you say, man, it does nobody any good to worry. I think back to my college, high school days. I think it was Van Wilder. Shout out to early Ryan Reynolds. He was like, worrying it's like a rocking chair, gives you something to do, but it doesn't take you anywhere. And it's a great perspective from the weirdest of places, Van Wilder. But it's absolutely true, right? Like, focus on how we can make a difference. Focus on what we can do to bring positivity. And yeah, I'm like you, man. I avoid the negativity as much as possible. And we're fortunate in being in a guild where, it's mostly about the game. It's mostly about the fun. We're sharing strategy. We're talking tips. We're passing around jokes and that sort of stuff. And it kind of shields us from a lot of the darkness that is out there in terms of, just overall sentiment for the game and the ecosystem.
Yeah, because there's some dark channels in Discord. There's definitely some dark channels in there. But yeah, man, I just think, you can, at the end of the day, I tell my son this all the time, is I tell him, I wish I knew this when I was younger, but you have a lot more control over your reality than you think. So much of what you experience is based on how you view it. And so choosing to view it from that negative lens is just as much of a choice as choosing to view it from an opportunity lens. Like, in the very same, the whole Rooney whisper thing in general came from me saying, hey, we have these Rooneys. We have nothing to do with them. I looked at that as an opportunity that I could do something to, add value. I could do something creative. I could do something to, to bring enjoyment to those things. Instead of, there was a good channel, a good group of people in Discord saying, hey, when are we gonna get this? When is this gonna work? They haven't fleshed all of this stuff out. It may not happen until next year. And it's like, if it doesn't happen until next year, why does that even matter? You've already bought the Rooney. We've already invested into the program. So let's just make the best of our time here. And oftentimes when we take that approach to what is the opportunity in this, as opposed to, just looking at the negative, we usually find a lot more going on, and it's usually not only profitable, but it's usually a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, man. Yeah, just beautiful again, man. Yeah, I love your thoughts. It's kind of like I'm I'm definitely with you as well. Ben, I know, agrees as well. It's just like we definitely can control or decide our future to a certain extent, and it's just like how you go about doing it. And you can listen to those whispers in your head all day long, but they're not going to do you any good at all. So yeah, it's just kind of like the only person that can control what's going on up there is you. So yeah, I'm definitely with you on that one, man. I've just kind of wondered, like, what were your, as I said before, I kind of felt this was a really positive town hall, and I love the way, I love having Matt on the town hall personally. Like when Matt speaks, and Aggie as well. I love Matt. I love Aggie's passion, and I love Matt's perspective. And that was one of the big takes from me from this town hall. Is just how he just came out and was just, he really believes in what they're doing. And for me to hear that, I think it's also maybe just something we as a community like want to hear as well, right? And I know, like you said, we read the white papers and we believe in like what Aggie's end goal is, peace, prosperity, and freedom. But I think just sometimes people just need that confirmation. And I think sometimes when Matt isn't there, I think people sometimes are expecting or hoping he's there, because it's a bit like, Braveheart, Mel Gibson at the start of the battle. Like people just need a bit of a rallying call, and I felt this one was the rallying call that we needed as a community. So, like, apart from that, like, what were your main takes from this recent town hall? Like, what were you looking forward to?
Let's see. One, I think I gotta say probably definitely no shade to Yaba or Aggro, but probably my favorite is Weird Beard. Incredible guy, very fun to talk with and just kind of bounce ideas off. So I look forward to his segment every town hall, because he just brings so much energy. But I agree with you. I think it's more of like when you're following the leadership, it's not so much that I necessarily need them to tell me that they're committed, because obviously they're committed. They have a lot invested. But hey, acknowledge things aren't going as great as they could be, maybe not as we planned, but we are still fully vested. I agree with you. I thought that was very important, and I thought that was delivered very well. But they also released some things that kind of blew my mind, like some of those new abilities that they're talking about coming in. The one for the what is it? Weapons training.
Yeah.
Prior to Chaos Legion, or not necessarily prior to Chaos Legion, but prior to Rift Watchers, I really loved my my non-attacking tanks. Like, I still love the Pellicor Conjurer. He's by far one of my favorite cards. Maxed him out immediately. I don't care. I love that card. and like the Warrior of Peace. I love that card, but it's like almost impossible to play him now. But this Taskmaster, this weapons training thing, brings a lot of those cards back into the frame. And then I think there's another one that with giving them attack. But what was there was another ability that they were talking about. Do you remember what it was?
It's like conscription.
Conscription and allow you to play the gladiator.
Yeah.
Made my whole day. Except now that means I got to deal with Korra all the time, and I'm still not happy. This is worse than Kwan, worse than Kron, worse than Kitty, worse than Yoden. It's Korra.
but having this in the game is for those people who don't do guilds or are in a guild, or don't care so much about kind of leveling up the gladiator cards. This is gonna, I think it's just gonna have just many positives. Like it's gonna encourage people to join guilds. It's gonna encourage people to kind of like maybe put in a bit more DEC. I'm just thinking now, like to help build up their building so they can get higher possibility to get higher merits. Higher merits means more gladiator cards. More gladiator cards, you're going to be able to kick more butts in ranked in tournaments. It's just going to have many positive effects.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now you can like pull out a team and have 3-4 monsters all with bloodlust. Oh, I cannot wait. I'm excited. The other thing is Weirdbeard was talking about some of the tournaments, and I think one thing he mentioned, not sure if it was this town hall, but that's another thing I'm thinking of is he was talking about blind draw tournaments. So basically you put up the cost for 5 packs or whatever, and basically whatever you get out of those packs, you play the tournament with. I am so looking forward to something of that form. I think that would really change the game because I like rogue style games. I don't know if you guys have played like right now when I'm not what I do in my idle times, I play Slay the Spire. And it's a great kind of rogue style battler, and you lose 75% of the time you play. But the 25% of the time you win is very gratifying because you're literally going step by step, floor by floor, and you're kind of crafting this deck around what you have available and the obstacles that are in front of you. And I think that's just a kind of a great way to kind of switch up a little bit of the play style to Splinterlands a little bit. And so I think that's one area where Splinterlands can grow, is just kind of have some different ways of play style. I think would be great. And so I'm looking forward to some different tournament styles. I played in the first Ghost Card tournament at Splinterfest, and I'm telling you, I almost short circuited. It was so much going on. I felt like I didn't have enough time to prepare. They should have gave me a chance to test this out first. But it was, man, it's a blast. I'm looking forward to it. I think once we get the tournaments going and we can get enough differences in there to where you can really kind of engage in the game the way that you want to. I think definitely getting people into guilds is huge, because I think once you get into a good guild and you're around that collection, because not everybody has that network, not everybody has friends that they can bounce ideas off of. So it's real easy to get in early, hear all of the negative chatter, and think, this isn't worth it. But you get in that guild and you're around like-minded people who are looking at growing and progressing. And I think that just makes it the experience in general better.
Yeah, great call, man. And I'm right there with you. I played in the, I think it was a gold level Ghost Card tournament that Weirdbeard put together after Splinterfest. Yeah. And I just got absolutely smoked, man. I have all these untamed cards that I've seen, I've gotten my butt whooped with, and I'm anxious to dish out that whooping right back. And I just don't know what I'm doing with these cards. So
3 minutes isn't enough. It's like, can I get 5 minutes? Could you let me just plan this out a day in advance and then put my teams in? There's just too many options.
Yeah.
I had the
Yeah.
option to play with Julian. I don't even know what I'm gonna do with it, but I still wanted to play him at least twice. It was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm all about it. And I think in 2023, we're going to see a major shift towards leveling the playing field, right? Untamed and Dice are going to be relegated to Wild when Rebellion comes into play. And that's going to make, the bulk of our players are probably Chaos Legion came in about the same time as you guys. Wascal, I think, came in a little bit earlier, August. And I think that last Q3, Q4 of 2021 was when we saw obviously that big jump in player base. And I think it's safe to assume that most of those folks, myself included, who came in a few months later, are competing with Chaos Legion or Rift Watchers. And we're still just kind of, everybody's looking forward to Untamed and Dice going by the wayside. And the playing field is going to be much more level, right? We're all going to be competing with similar decks. And it's going to be a much greater story of skill versus, wallet size. So looking forward to that. And I think the new tournaments are taking that to a whole nother level. The pack opening style tournament that you talked about, draft tournaments is another one where you've got to pick and choose. How do I don't know how that's going to be constructed, whether it's like, hey, you've got 200 mana, draft your tournament or draft your team. And you're picking your summoners, you're picking your cards, maybe 200 mana is, just a number out of thin air, but I would imagine it's something like that. I think about fantasy sports back home, draft style or auction style, I guess, where you're given a set value and each card is allocated a certain value that you obviously have to sacrifice in order to get this card on your team. But yeah, I think there's so much that came out of that town hall. The new abilities that you guys talked about, the new tournament styles. I'm just excited for what's to come. I feel like there's going to be new breath breathed into the life of the game very soon. And I hope that it's enough to kind of keep the negativity at bay and we can focus on just having fun while all the tokenomics kind of get worked out in the back end.
Absolutely. I sit back and, I hear negatives and I see the charts and everything. And, it's times like this that I'm actually a little bit happy that, I don't want to say ignorant, but I don't know as much about crypto as a lot of the people in the community. So, that's less reason for me to get mad about. That's less reason for me to feel down about because, I'm comfortable with the level. I'm still learning more and more, but at this stage, I don't have as much experience in it to where the negatives or, potential things bother me so much. And I like that. But I keep this one thing in mind. And he said, when there's blood in the streets, it's time to eat. So, when everyone is like, oh, it's going down, this is the time to buy. This is the time to build. That's the whole point of this. That's the whole message that's being talked about this whole time is during this period where values are low, this is where you prepare yourself to profit later. So why complain about the opportunity in front of you? Because I'll tell you, when I started, I did not start at the bottom. I started there was no packs for sale. Cards were high. All of the Untamed and the Dice were still dominating the scene. Chaos Legion hadn't been released yet. It was a barren wasteland when I first started. And, some of the cards that were vital during those periods are like almost, non-existent now. But I'm excited for things like land. I actually managed to eventually find, I've always considered land to be a bit of a luxury item. But I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be the one who does not have land. So I went ahead and got me a plot. I'm going to hopefully try and get me a couple more because I like the idea of being able to use some of those assets that I may not play with. Like, for instance, Venari Wavesmith is my favorite example. When I got into the game, Venari Wavesmith and Dejin O'Shaughnessy was an absolute necessary pair in order to be able to function in the meta. Now, Oceanus is my favorite card. He's still a beast. But Venari Waysmith is like almost not played at the stage now. But land gives us a way to still get value from those resources because if the card's not getting played, most people aren't going to rent it. So you might not necessarily get rental income from it, but hey, when land comes out, that's a new way to take value from it. And I just like the idea that we're getting more ways to get value out of our investments and our resources. And at the end of the day, like, what is the big what's the big alternative? What, you're gonna go buy another AAA game, spend $60 and get nothing from it? Like, they're not even gonna promise you anything. You're just gonna give them money in time. At the very least, we have a promise and we have a team dedicated and committed to the vision and the plan in front of us. So I'm like, hey, let's just go all in for it.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right, man. I think that's one of the other main takes I got from the town hall is that it just feels that they have a plan. And I think, unfortunately, we're not privy to all of the things they discuss, but I think that they also let us in on what their plans are for, like the main thing is to get DEC back to peg. And it feels like, at least, if they weren't doing anything, then I think I would be worried, but they are doing things to help DEC get back to. And just after that town hall, I could just see lots of avenues open for DEC, even like with the soul-bound cards, right? There's even the possibility to, once you have leveled up and the opportunity to sell that, the new reward card comes about, to be able to sell it, that people are talking about, you have to pay DEC to have that opportunity, right? So
like,
yeah,
I'm stake DEC or something. They're trying to come up with like a way to stake it, to just add another DEC sync into that, which I think is great. I thought the soul-bound reward cards was a great idea, because I think as it stands right now, with you being able just to get them and sell them immediately, it just just destroys their value while they're in print. So I think if they were just soul-bound until at the very or until they were out of print, I think that'd just go a huge way.
yeah.
I think that'd just be huge.
I think like at the moment, for me personally, when I get chests, I'm not looking for the reward cards. I think number one, okay, I'm lucky enough that I have got them leveled up to a certain extent. I will need them for land, so that is good. But for me, like, merits are the main thing that I am looking for. When I get a big bump of merits, I'm just looking to see if I can open up some more gladiator cards. So
I'm just trying to get core. That's all I want. I just want core.
Have you not got her yet?
Have you not still pulled one?
No, I've still not pulled one, and no one can give me one. I can't buy one. It's just
what other gladiator cards? This is probably a question for Ben. Like, what other gladiator cards do you feel like the main ones to have?
I'll get you what you want to field that one first. I'll chime in afterwards.
I know Quora. Obviously. I like she's the green Catrebla. I love Catrebla. Captain Katie is another one of my favorite strong ones. And then there's a legendary life one that I've seen that just destroys me.
This girl.
I actually just got this one. Yes.
Nice.
Yes, nice. I just got her. So, I was happy when I got it, but I still like I made a meme and I had a meme and it said, it has a picture of me on there and it says, I picked my team and I got like all of the best monsters I could think of on there. And then the other team has Quora. Quora wins. That's pretty much how my meme goes.
Well, I've found, so I was lucky enough to pull a couple of Quoras over the last year. I don't often play her, man, and I don't often see her.
Really?
You know, on occasion, like the llama Quora play is really tough to get past. When she can be cleansed and just constantly revitalized and sustained, it's very challenging to get past her. But I feel like most people, they see Earth is available. They play Obsidian, they play Quora, and then they just kind of put filler monsters in surrounding her. I think I like my chances of beating that team, especially if I know that Quora is coming. I'll just, I think, and I've been guilty of this too, is where you're just trying to build your team around that one monster, throw all your eggs into that Quora basket and have her just kind of dominate, which from time to time it does happen. But I would say most of the time I play Quora, I end up losing because somebody is expecting Quora and you're just sending more menacing monsters throughout the rest of the lineup that's just going to pick everything else apart. And yeah.
Now, I have gotten better at going against Quora. Like I beat her today. But so, you said you don't really see Quora that often. What tier guild are you? What tier brawls are you guys playing in? Or what brawl do you normally slot in?
We're tier 3. I'll play either gold or diamond. Mostly modern.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just don't see.
What fray do you normally play in?
Yeah, usually the gold or diamond modern phrase.
Oh.
How about you?
Well, for the longest time I played in the Novice Chaos Legion, which is probably why I kept seeing Quora so much. But now I play in the I think I'm in the silver modern. I think I'm silver modern now. Now that we ended up, I think we just moved up to tier 3. So so we're trying to work our way up to the next one, with these with the SPS rewards. Everybody's taking the brawls and everything, more seriously. But while we're at the subject, so what's a good Quora counter lineup?
What I think it depends on what are the splinters that are available, but if it's Earth, purely Earth, the first thing that I'm going to try and do, especially if I'm expecting Quora, is not give that easy bloodlust opportunity, because she's definitely a snowball, right? And she rolls downhill hard and very quickly turns into an avalanche. But I love the Katraba Gobson play with and a card that most people I think kind of snuff is the Eyes of the Fanged. I love Eyes of the Fang throwing the sneak attack range with the stun and then sending the Gladius monster after the same monster.
Okay.
And I'm a big fan of Fernheart. I've got Fernheart leveled up and playing Fernheart with a big monster up front to avoid that bloodlust from Quora, and then throw in the sneak attack. Nobody expects the sneak attack range. And she getting the scavenge and the stun with Fernheart. By the time she gets to the front, she's a big fat tank, and you've still got some sneaky bloodlust going into the back with the Gobson. So it really depends. But if it's Earth only, I'm usually going to go that route and take the sneaky back door.
I'm gonna have to level up my Fernheart.
Yeah, he's a great. I think he might be my favorite of the Riftwatcher summoners.
Oh no, mine's is Dallin.
Oh, my brother! I've been trying to get people on that Dallin play for ages, man. For ages, I keep waiting for. It blows my mind because they fixed cripple, quote unquote, fixed cripple, but I still don't understand. So there's a couple of rule sets that I love Dallin more than any other play, and that's like Divine Shield and Armored Up, and I love throwing poisons from either Dr. Blight, Uraeus, the Soul Strangler, as much poison as I can throw with Dallin. But when they fixed Cripple, I was so disappointed they didn't make Cripple applicable via Blast. So in Blast rule sets, so there's a couple of other abilities that don't necessarily make sense with Blast for me, like Dispel and Snare are both able to be applied with Blast rule sets, but Cripple is not. It just, yeah, I think that needs to be fixed, and then all of a sudden we'll see more people embracing Dallin. But I'm with you, man. I feel like he's an untapped gem that we just haven't seen the full potential for yet.
Yeah. I like him. I completely agree with you. That's probably the only knock is, and to me, it just doesn't make sense. I don't understand why it doesn't work with Blast. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, we've got an old guildmate, Hepthorn. Shout out to you. I'm going to call you out. There's kind of a running joke since, and I think all three of us, Waskell, Hepthorn, and myself we're all partial to the Death Splitter, and sounds like you are too. I guess you're in good company. But it's been kind of a running joke because I've been consistently hopeful that Dallin is going to turn the corner, and I'm kind of constantly pumping out Dallin hype. So I'm glad that it was spurred on by you this time and not by me. So yes, speaking to my heart, dude, Dallin holds a soft spot for me.
So Ben, you didn't mention your what are your favorite gladiator cards?
So I've gotten 3 legendary cards throughout my brawling experience, and they all happen to be the same card. They were all this Fina Voxum from Team Fire. So I've got her at level 2, and she's just got awesome stats: opportunity, piercing, bloodlust, thrown out 4 melee damage, and stun at the higher levels, redemption at the highest level. But she's very easily become my favorite, and throwing her with Rooney, and either with Jasic or any of the fire summoners, she's a great play because she'll get additional health and melee attack with Tarsa. She gets enraged with Skargor, or she just becomes that much faster with Jasic. So she's a great play with any of them. And she's lower mana cost. I'm attracted to the 5 mana. I can fit her in most matches, whereas Cora, it's a little bit of a stretch, sacrificing 10 for 1 monster. Yeah. So yeah, anytime I can.
I can attest to that. I play Bjangles, like we kind of do lots of like challenges, and he always brings out her. She's like you say Cura, I say her. She's just the bane of my life. I'm just like I opened up 3 packs this morning. And I was just like, just dying to get her. You know what I really like is I'm really enjoying Jasic, and I play Crash. Do you know Crash? The Crash guy. Wonderford? Yeah.
He sounds like he could be one of your neighbors from England, bro. Wonderford.
But
I like this card. I just lose every time. Maybe I need to level it more. I don't know. I just lose every time I play it. But I really feel like there's a lot of potential with this card.
Yeah, for low mana, like he's 4 mana, right? So a low mana one with Jasic, or even if you've got Pyre with just like another couple of speed buffs or speed pumps, he's one of my most used, apart from maybe Isgald for water, but I really enjoy him. And like even like with certain rule sets like Enraged, or even if as like a second, behind the main tank, and he's just like sitting pretty, and then he's really hard to touch. But he's like common, right? Or is he rare?
He's a common.
I've somehow managed to level him up. And like you mentioned before with that new summoner, him with a melee. Oh la la.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that'll. And then I believe it's supposed to work with the adjacent monster. Oh man, that just makes so many that there's so much potential.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Awesome. Well, Aga, why don't you take the floor for a couple of minutes and tell us what's on the horizon for you, man? What's next? Are we getting some more music videos? Are you going to start putting Rooney to some old hits? Are we going to see Rooney rapping to the Chronic or singing some Michael Jackson songs? What's coming next, man?
Wow. Let's see. I hadn't thought about that. You know what? I'm gonna put that in the box. You know what? You might see that. I do have
did you just give me the old standard reply? Like, how am I going to do that in your mind? But actually, that's a good idea. I'll see what I can do.
That's a good idea. I'll see what I can do. Never say never. But I do have another Rooney music video that I'll be making. I think I'll probably start on it toward the end of this month. I'm just waiting on the music and everything to get finalized there. Deadly Romance I just released, and that one was intense, but I'm intrigued. So I'm kind of considering right now. I'm still going to be doing the video editing content on there, because I think that's I got it from talking with a lot of the different creators and a lot of community members. A lot of them wanted a little bit more access to the actual editing side of it to see how I was doing some of the transitions and the effects and whatnot. So I'm gonna keep that going. As I'm gearing up for the I got an editing course that I'm trying to finalize. So these videos just help me work out the ticks in my explanations. So it's kind of a means to an end there. But I really like the story thing. It took a lot out of me, and I haven't been writing as much as I had before, and so it was really fun to start writing again and to create kind of a compelling story. So you may see more of a Rooney style ongoing story. I'm not sure. I don't know if it'll be like weekly, but it may be, bi-weekly, where you'll get like a full episode of, my Rooney's name. It got voted on was Aga Magnus. So until we get the Rooney part switches and he changes in which he was going to get a different name, because I really want one of those Puma heads. That's it. I want one of those Puma heads for my Rooney. But I think there's only like 6 of them, so it'd be expensive, but I want one.
I don't know if I've seen the Puma head. Do you know what the
it's like Lowland. There's like Lowlands and another one.
Let me take a look here. I didn't mean to cut you off, man. Keep going. You're gonna get the Puma head, and then
so I get the Puma head, and then I'm gonna have to rename him because it's not gonna match anymore. Aga Magnus won't work anymore. But so I enjoyed the story, and as you kind of go through the video, it's all told through the perspective of Aga Magnus in the video, and so I kind of like that. And I'm thinking, I want to maybe do it like an episodic series, kind of coming up with some kind of wild story that engages different characters. And, let's just have fun with it. Bring the Rooneys in. You know what? I might even bring some other people's Rooneys in, and we might do some other collaborations. So we'll see. The future's on the horizon, but there's definitely more content coming out. But, we'll see. I like to find something that pushes me and stretches me. But at the end of the day, as long as I'm having fun, as long as it's engaging, I'm all for it. But yes, those are the heads. Yes.
And man, I think you hit upon a great card as well, right? Like, I love my Rooney. I mean, literally, when I play him, it's just like such a great card. Like, for you, it's worked out so well, right? Imagine if it was like a poo-poo card sort of thing. but now it's like it's like one of the cards I always look to play. It's kind of, that true shot, true strike. Yes. And in poison, oh man, it's because it can actually, it's one of those cards that does make a difference. It's kind of one of those carry cards. If you can play it, it can literally on its own at the end just bring you back from the dead.
It's a must play in a poison match. It's a must play. Oh man.
Yeah.
Have you guys gotten your Rooney plugged into your profile yet? That was it was such a small little change that I don't know if folks actually noticed, but you can change your profile to have your Rooney in there now.
Oh, how did you do that?
So if you just go to your profile here and then click the little pencil, it will bring up all of the original avatars, and then your Rooney's in there. Boom. Yeah, man. I think a lot of it flew under the radar for a lot of folks, but I was scrolling through our guild's member list, and it's so cool seeing everybody's Rooney in there. And it just builds the excitement for me about Rooney and what the potential is there, but also it's just such a cool thing to see everybody's unique NFT as their PFP in game.
Mine's a setup. I switched over.
Nice.
No, I haven't done that. And also, is there anything else you'd like to say there, Aga, about the stuff you're doing?
Last thing is it is January. My birthday's in January. So for I started this I guess is it a tradition now since I've done it 2 years in a row? But I guess it'd be tradition where during my birthday month, I am giving everyone with a January birthday a gift. So you'll see my my happy birthday post. It'll probably come out around my birthday. I'll usually do a video of some sort. But everyone with a January birthday, all you got to do is just comment on the video wherever you see it at, either be Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Hive, wherever. Just comment happy birthday, put your birth date in there and your in-game name, and I will wish you a happy birthday, and I'll send you a card. I'll start out with all of the good stuff, and I'll go all the way down to what I have, but I'll make sure that everybody gets something, because it's a birthday, and I like to make sure everybody has gifts.
I love it, man. Are we doing KYC submissions for that? Do I gotta upload my passport with my birthday in there?
Nah. I did it last year, and I was actually a little bit concerned because I didn't really have very much. I was like, when I thought this idea out, I was like, man, like if 400 people, I don't know what I'd do. But I kind of feel good about the community. And, at the end of the day, hey, if you want to come in and, just say you had a January birthday to get a card, oh, well, but I think the majority of people won't have that issue. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me.
You might have to rethink it when we hit 2 million players playing the game, right?
No, when I get to 2 million players a game, I should have enough cards to where it doesn't matter. Keep building. I want to do this every single year, so that means I got to build every year.
Well, when we get to 2 million players, bro, I expect your birthday celebration to extend to the first quarter of the year. So if you've got a January, February, March birthday, holler at Agaprime and get yourself a card.
You know what? I like that idea.
What is your actual birthday date?
It is the 16th of January.
The 16th. Okay. All right. So for all you out there, make sure you get on that. And just a little plug as well for the People's Guild before we wrap up. We've got a tournament happening. The news has just dropped in. They've just got the confirmation. We've got a tournament. We'll be able to give you more information on that as the time progresses towards that date. But the 21st of January, we've got a modern sit and go event. It's a free to enter tournament as well, and you can win. There's 10 NFTs up for grabs for the winners. So it's called the Bruce Lee Chinese New Year, and it's dedicated to one of our idols, Bruce Lee, and it's Chinese New Year's coming up. So we've got a rabbit theme going on. So
because it is the year of the rabbit. Year of the rabbit is coming up.
Hey, that's cool. I'm about to get in on this.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So we're giving away 10 NFTs. We kind of embraced the, like we mentioned, we're here in Taiwan, so we're a little bit more in tune with Chinese New Year. Our kind of vacations are built around Chinese New Year. So we've got prizes going out to top 3 places. We're skipping 4 and then offering 5 and 6. So there's a little bit of superstition in Chinese culture where 4 represents an unlucky number. So we honored that, skipped it, and then we've got some prizes offered a little bit further down around significant dates in terms of when Chinese New Year begins, when the Lantern Festival is, that sort of thing. So I think the lowest place that gets a prize is 88th.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've got 10 NFTs kind of spread throughout the full gamut of placements. Yeah, Bruce Lee Chinese New Year attorney. Take a look for it, and yeah, look forward to seeing you guys there.
Yeah, and with those NFTs as well, if you do manage to win one of the NFTs, you will be invited to a private Discord with other creators within the community. So it's definitely worth checking out for that alone.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, Aga, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. For those of you guys that are uninitiated to Aga's handiwork, head over to youtube.com @Agaprime. That's AGAPRIME. And enjoy some music videos, some very cool and unique content creation there from Aga himself. He's a great follow on Twitter as well. Aga, can you remind the people what your Twitter handle is?
Yes, it's DWNKOSR, or you can just search Agaprime and it'll pull me up.
Cool. Well, hey man, I think I speak for both of us in saying absolute pleasure hearing your story, hearing your journey. We're happy to have you as part of the community. Grateful that you took the time to hop on from your spot in Oklahoma and hop on the People's Guild and talk shop with us. We've genuinely appreciated and enjoyed the last couple hours with you.
Oh man, hey, I appreciate it. It's been a blast. I love talking with the community members, having good conversation. We got a little way away from Splinterlands, but I like to have those good conversations. And so, hey, it's been fun.
Oh man, it's been amazing. It's just, I feel like one of those podcasts for me, just very uplifting. I feel very, energized after speaking to you, man. Very inspirational. I love the way you think. I love the way you're going about doing your work. I just love your thoughts. I just really loved meeting you, man. So thank you very much. And for all those people listening out there, you have been listening to
People's Guild.